What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome in to Wild Card Weekend. It is a playoff edition of the NFL live stream here on the BettingPros YouTube channel. He is Pat Fitzmaurice. I am Matt Perrault. We're with you, for 45 minutes or so as we're going to break down all 5 of these games. Pat, happy playoffs. How are you?
Doing well, Matt. Looking forward to a good weekend of football. Hopefully got our whistle wet with some good college semifinal action the last 2 nights and ready for more.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. We have 2 games today, 3 games tomorrow, and 1 game on Monday, which has moved venues that we'll get to here in a couple of minutes. We will do all 5 here, okay? So since it is a wild card weekend and there are 5 games to be played, we thought we'd do it today, do all 5 games, and then we'll do next week. We'll kind of figure out the schedule. Probably next Saturday, same thing. We'll do the Saturday for the games happening for divisional weekend, and then back to Sunday for the AFC and NFC championship games, and then later on for the Super Bowl. So it's the playoffs, guys. I know you want to bet more. I know you want to load up and go crazy, but in reality, these are just games, okay? They're games on games on games, so pace yourself. Be smart about it. As Pat said, we're in the middle of a historic 5-day run where we had a playoff game Thursday, playoff game Friday, and then now 3 more days of playoff football. Let's talk about trends here a little bit before we get to the games themselves, because there are some very interesting trends to take a look at. According to Bet Labs, this was the best season against the number for favorites in a very long time, since 2017. Overall, favorites wound up 195 and 77 straight up. That's 72%, basically, nearly 72% of the time. Favorites won the game straight up. That's the 3rd best season since 1980. On the macro level, Pat, are we really chalky here this weekend?
Pretty chalky. I think we're leaning towards the chalk, Matt. I don't know about you, but not a lot of games where I want to take the points.
It's hard. There's big point spreads. There's rookie quarterbacks. There's difficult road games for some of these teams. I'm with you. It feels like it should be trendy towards the chalk. However, since 2017, underdogs are 52 and 34 against the number in the wild card round. Those playoff underdogs are 24 and 12 against the number here for a 30% ROI when it comes to this round. So playoff dogs tend to come in. Wild card rounds, dogs really tend to come in. How about this? Underdogs who missed the playoffs the year prior are 39 and 20 against the number since 2017. And wouldn't you know it, that would be Washington and Denver, both teams with rookie quarterbacks who are trying to buck the trend that you don't bet on rookie quarterbacks. But that's a pretty good sample size, 39 and 20. Double-digit underdogs are just 5 and 13 ATS, but we're probably not going to have a double-digit underdog. Maybe we'll get to the Steelers at 10 today, but we'll see how that number winds up going here with that. Let's start with the Chargers and the discrepancy in the market. The LA Chargers opened up as 3-point favorites. It stayed at 3 for quite a long time, and now 3s are an endangered species. Houston money coming in. Vegas, every book's at 2.5. DraftKings is still at 3. There's a couple of offshores who are still at 3. Pat, you and I both like the Chargers here today, but the professionals don't. Why do you like LA on the road against the Texans?
Remember how the Eagles just sort of staggered into last year's playoffs, Matt? They were playing terribly, and yet they were somehow road favorites against the Buccaneers in Tampa. I feel like this year's Texans are a lot like last year's Eagles. The Texans started 5-1. They've gone 5-6 since then. The point differential for Houston this season, it's 0. The Texans and their opponents have both scored 372 points this season. And when we last saw the Texans play a game that they were actually trying hard to win, week 18 against the Titans really doesn't count. They were completely humiliated by the Ravens on Christmas Day, 31-2. The week before, they lost to the Chiefs by 8 points. Texans really haven't had an impressive win since they beat the Bills back in week 5. Their offensive line is terrible, giving up the highest pressure rate of any team in the NFL. And they have to deal with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack in this game. I know those guys haven't had great seasons as far as their sack totals, but I don't know if the Texans can block Bosa and Mack. The Chargers offense is clicking. They've scored 34 or more points in 3 straight games, and they've rolled up at least 380 yards of offense in each of those games. Chargers have also covered the spread in 5 straight road games. I love the Chargers here, Matt. Like, I don't really care where the money is coming in.
Yep.
Yeah, so I feel pretty good.
I think it's just a system play for them. I think it's a road. I think a lot of them are saying, hey, look, it's a road favorite, and road favorites tend in the NFL in the playoffs in general don't do well. But we talked about at the top just how chalky some of these games could wind up being. The defense for the Chargers, I think, will be the difference in this game. I don't like CJ Stroud against good defenses. He has not played well against top defenses this year. They're averaging like 14 to 18 points per game. They don't put up big numbers. Now, I'm not saying the Chargers are going to go down there and just put up 40 points on the Texans. Obviously, DeMeco Ryans is a good defensive-minded coach, and they've got some very good Will Anderson, some very good defensive players. But I think it's a Ladd McConkey day. I think it's a J.K. Dobbins day. I think it's a dink and dunk type of situation where you just have long, sustained drives. I think the under is probably a decent look here with the total being 42. Not a horrible play to go in on that. And I just look at the ability for the Chargers when it comes from a coaching standpoint, and it just feels like this team is going to have a different level of swagger. Justin Herbert is 12-4 ATS in his career as a road favorite in the Central or Eastern time zones, and they're really good. They're really good on short rest under Harbaugh. They're 3-0 this year when they've played a Sunday to a Saturday or a Sunday to a Thursday. They're 3-0, so they know how to prepare in a tight window. Any concern about the wildfire distractions going on with the Chargers having to leave when what's going on in LA and LA County?
I don't know how to factor that in, Matt,
right,
to be honest with you. So I mean, maybe there is, but if there is, we don't know how. But
yeah.
By the way, I'm with you on the under. Texans, I think, have played to the under in 11 of their regular season games, and they've averaged 17.4 points a game over their last 5. It just feels like they're not going to do that much. And I don't know if the Chargers are going to completely light up this Texans defense. I just think this one is playing under 42.5 and probably under 40.
Yeah. So you've got the Texans at home. They are 7-1 to the under this year at home. That's the best mark in the NFL, 2 home unders. They're 18-8 over the last 3 seasons. That's the second best mark, only behind the Chiefs in terms of home unders. So I love that idea that, hey, low scoring game. It just feels like the number is right. And once it dipped below 3 and went to 2.5, that's when I was like, okay, I'm taking the Chargers. Like if you give me, I think the number was correct. I think it's a 3-point win. It feels like a 17-14 type of victory for the Chargers. It feels like a very boring game, to be quite honest. I mean, I looked at the Penn State game. I don't mind a first half under, by the way, if you want to do that with just both teams kind of feeling out. They call this the Houston Texan Invitational because every time they make the playoffs, they're in this window. Like nobody wants to watch the Texans, and they're always playing on Saturday at 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern time. So it's an insult, but it's not really trying to be in it. You're in the playoffs, so you're in the bracket. It's what you want to be in for. But like they just don't have a lot of buzz and hype around these games. And I think that factors right into, the khaki man himself. Boring football is what Harbaugh does, right? He just plays boring football.
Yes, indeed. And this is the Texans honorary time slot, like going back to Matt Schaub. And, it's been that way every year the Texans get in. This is their time slot. So it's
boring.
Yeah.
Guys, looking to up your game in sports betting? Join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. I'm in there all the time, Pat, too. You guys can connect with your expert handicappers who provide free picks on NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, player props. Live betting is what I do a lot of it for, and more. But now you can also participate in our weekly community picks. Cast your vote and see how your picks stack up against the experts and track your success. bettingpros.com/chat. Jump on in. I'll be in there later on today. I'll be in there tomorrow. We're doing a live chat on Sunday morning on the Discord channel as well, where if you guys go look and find the stages, I'll be hosting a stage tomorrow. The time, listen to the Daily Juice. We're going to play around with the time a little bit. I'll tell you on the Daily Juice tonight what time that stage will be tomorrow for the 3 games with any late line move or scratches of players or whatnot. But join the Discord channel, bettingpros.com/chat. Second game today is just wild to me, Pat. So I do another show, and my co-host on the other show is from Pittsburgh. He's a 20-year bookmaker, and he has told me that the easiest number to make in bookmaking is the Ravens and the Steelers. It is 3. No matter which city you're in, Baltimore or Pittsburgh, it's 3, it's 3, it's 3 all the time. Right now, we are sitting at a 9.5 point total line here for the Ravens and the Steelers. What do you make of this? Is this a blowout, or does Pittsburgh have a shot?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem absurd in this series to have a line that big, especially when you consider the familiarity between these coaches, Matt. This is the 38th meeting between Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. Second most frequent coaching matchup in NFL history. Only Curly Lambeau and George Papa Bear Hallis have faced each other more often than these two coaches. I'm not going to bet a side on this one. Like, if you force me to, I would probably take the points with Pittsburgh. But I could see the Ravens completely demolishing the Steelers, because I don't know about you. I don't have much faith in the Steelers offense, which has kind of been a mess. Like, they do not have any playmakers other than George Pickens, who's highly unreliable. And the Ravens pass defense has been so much better lately than it was early in the season. The Steelers have traditionally kept Lamar Jackson in check pretty well the last few years. Plus, Lamar won't have Zay Flowers, his big play receiver, who's out with a knee injury. Our colleague Andrew Erickson has also pointed out that the underdog is covered in 9 of the last 11 Ravens-Steelers games.
Oh, it's worse than that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just don't have any confidence in the Steelers offense. I don't want to take the points here, Matt.
It's crazy. Over the last 20 years, the underdog in this series is 29, 11, and 3.
Wow.
Since 2015, the underdog is 16, 13, and 1 against the number. Overall, when Mike Tomlin faced off against John Harbaugh, the underdog is 25, 9, and 3 against the number. Now, in the playoffs, however, 1 and 2, a little bit of a different story. But to that point, I mean, this is just take the dog every single time, because it's just what you do in this series. I mean, the Ravens, it's wild. Since 2020, it's been difficult for the Ravens to hold a lead against the Steelers. The Ravens are just 2-7 straight up against the Steelers when they have a lead in the game. They've blown numerous plays. They've blown. And I'm telling you, if the Ravens lose this game outright, I'm going to be killed. I have a future bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I have a 3-leg money line parlay involving the Ravens to win this game. And I am 7-point teasing the Ravens down from 9.5 to 2.5. I never do 7-point teasers, but I want below 3, because I think 3 might be the number. Ravens might win by 3. So I'm pulling this thing down. I'm paying a minus 140 price tag, which I never do. But I want the Texans at 10, and I want the Ravens at 2.5. I want to get over 9, and I want to get under 3 for that teaser. I don't like 6-point teasers in this. I think you got to do a 7-point teaser, because you got to get over those key numbers of 9 and 3, or get under the number of 3 here with this. If I had to bet this, I'm taking the points. if you put a gun to my head and said you have to take a side, which side are you taking? I'm taking a point. Even with the Steelers offense, which can't score at all, even with Mike Tomlin 0-5 against the number over his last 5 playoff games since 2016, 2017, they haven't covered, Pat. They haven't covered. So, like, this feels like James Franklin all over again. So I went into the James Franklin game and said, James Franklin can't win a big game. I'm taking Notre Dame. Like, that's my handicap. Like, I don't need to go all into everything. And I didn't like Drew Aller, but I don't really love Marcus Freeman, and I wasn't really in love with Riley Leonard either. But I'm like, until I see it, it's now 1-15 straight up for James Franklin against top 5 teams and James Franklin in big football games. This feels like very similarly here. Mike Tomlin's going to lose this game. The question is going to be how many points? How many points will they lose the game by? It feels like the back door is open. No,
very much so. Yes, very much so. Because there's no way the Ravens are squashing the Steelers by 20 plus. That's just not going to happen. So the back door will be open.
How many yards is Derrick Henry running for?
I mean, the Steelers
99.5. He ran for 160 plus in the last meeting.
It's a good number. I don't want to bet the I don't want to bet the over or the under on that one. I mean, the Steelers' run defense is not a pushover. I mean, I get it. For certainly the Ravens are going to. I'd be shocked if he had fewer than 18 carries in this game. So I don't hate it, but I'm not betting it.
Yeah, I think he busts one. He has 140-yard run, 145-yard run, something like that gets us over. I don't think it's consistently where he, 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards every single carry. I think it's more or less like, let's just stick to it and let's keep on giving it to Henry, and eventually he pops it. I'm going to do a parlay. I'm going to take anytime touchdown Derrick Henry, and I'm going to parlay it with his over in rushing. I did this in the last meeting, and it came through and cashed. I'm going to do it again. You get good plus money on this. I think Derrick Henry's going to score a touchdown. It's expensive. It's minus 185 to minus 250, depending on what book you're looking at, on Derrick Henry to score a touchdown today. And then, but if you parlay that with over 99.5 yards rushing for Derrick Henry to get 100 yards, that is plus 140, plus 150, depending on the book that you're looking at. See, so I expect a lot of Derrick Henry. Someone in the chat's asking Baltimore team total of under 27.5. I'd be really careful with that, Trevor. I mean, I think that's, I don't know, 30 points could be the number here for the Ravens offense. And this, I know the defense for the Steelers on paper has been pretty good, but I don't know. How do you feel about the 27.5?
I mean, I love the under for this game, but I don't know about the team total. If I was going to bet a team under, it would be for the Steelers.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, but generally, Matt, as far as the total, like when the Ravens beat the Steelers 34-17 on December 21st, it was the first time a Steelers-Ravens game has gone over the total since November of 2020. 8 of the last 9 in the series have gone under, with Steelers-Ravens games producing an average of 33.2 points during that stretch. So this series, it's always a rock fight. Right. And I think we could get another rock fight today. So I'm not too keen on I don't know, betting a team total with the Ravens. Like, if the Steelers can't move the ball, the Ravens could very well go over just because they have the ball so often, and that would be my concern about.
If you guys don't want to lay 9.5, you can look around and see what the first half price is, because this stat's wild. The Pittsburgh Steelers over the last 4 seasons, they are 25-45 ATS in the first half. That's the worst for any team in the NFL. If you go to the last 2 seasons, they're 11-24 against the number. And this year, they're 6-11 against the spread in the first half. That's also the worst mark of any team. We talked about the Ravens blowing leads 2-7 straight up when they have a lead in this game against the Steelers. Well, if you don't want to lay 9.5 points, which I don't blame you, first half may be the way to go with this, with the Ravens coming out, having sustained drives, scoring, and then Pittsburgh goes into halftime, makes some adjustments, and maybe comes back and makes a game of it. Zay Flowers not playing in this game. Does that up the usage of anyone in the prop market that you like, say a Mark Andrews or a Bateman? Anybody else get the ball more in your mind, given the fact that we don't have a Zay Flowers?
I'm actually a little intrigued by the Nelson Aguilar prop, which was sitting at 20.5 points. Now, Aguilar has missed the last 3 games with a concussion, but he's been practicing all week. He should be good to go. And I do think in 2 receiver sets, and I do think the Ravens probably play more 2 tight end sets with Likely and Andrews this week with Flowers out of the mix. But when they go to 2 tight ends, I do think Aguilar is most likely going to be the guy opposite Rashad Bateman rather than Devontae Walker, the rookie, or Tylan Wallace. So, and in 2 games against the Steelers last year, Aguilar had over 100 combined yards in those 2 games. And the year before, in 2022, he had a 100-yard receiving day against the Steelers as a member of the Patriots. So he's had a little bit of success against this team historically, and 20.5 yards is a pretty low bar to clear.
That I think is worth pointing out. If we're going to see a game that's refereed closely, now this is a primetime game, this is a lot of eyeballs. If the refs get happy with throwing flags, the Ravens were the second most penalized team in the NFL, 132 penalties this season. If we're going to throw jump balls to Pickens, if we're going to throw go routes, if we're going to have the lollipop throws from Russell Wilson, I'll be very curious to see how the referees handle pass interference and illegal contact down the field, because that's one way that Pittsburgh could wind up scoring more often, because they're not going to go on 80-yard drives, Pat, but they might get a flag or two that gives them a 40-yard PI penalty.
Yeah, that I do think officiating is going to be interesting in this game and could be kind of a factor in how it plays out.
Especially if he gets away from the Steelers, because you could see some real, I mean, these guys hate each other. So you could see some, the referees might be a little bit happy to try to keep the guys in check early. The total is 44. It hasn't moved since it dropped down from 46. I mean, it's still 9.5. It was up as high as 10. That was the ceiling for this, and it came right back down after it touched 10. So if we go back up here before the game kicks off, 8:00 night games for the Ravens under Lamar Jackson haven't been that great in the playoffs, but he lost on the road to the Bills at night, and he lost to the Titans at home at night. He's only played 2 night games in the playoffs in his career, but overall, he's 47-12 straight up. That's the best mark of any quarterback since 1971 playing at night. So should be a rocking atmosphere in Baltimore for this one. I just need them to win. Like, I don't 2.5, win by 3, and I'm good. Just win the game in advance. Baltimore, just win the game. Don't need to win it by 15 or 20 or to kill them. Just win the game by 3. Justin Tucker, any concerns with him if this game comes down to a kick?
He has been really erratic, and it's strange that Chris Boswell has been the much more reliable kicker of 100%. The 2 kickers in this game.
Without a doubt. If it comes down to a kick, I definitely like the Steelers' chances more than I like what's going on here. Bulking up in the offseason, whatever he did has not led to success for Justin Tucker by any means. All right, those are the Saturday games. On to Sunday. But first, guys, maximize your prop betting success with the BettingPros prop bet cheat sheet. Instantly compare sportsbook lines with expert projections to find the best value. Customize your bets by filtering props by matchup, odds, and bet type, ensuring you only see the most profitable opportunities. Get tailored recommendations and track winning trends with ease using this comprehensive tool. Take your prop betting to the next level at bettingpros.com/props or on the Betting Pros sports betting app, which is free to download. Go and download it today. We go to Sunday when these games are really interesting. Intrigue. Denver and Buffalo, first game of the day, 1:00 Eastern time kick. Buffalo at home, 9 at South Point now, 8.5 at most other books with a total of 48. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix trying to shock the world here, Pat. Denver have a shot?
I don't know if they have a shot, man. I mean,
the answer is no. The answer is no. They have no shot.
Should be no. Josh Allen's 4-0 in the wild card round. We've got
not losing at home, guys. Like this, stop this nonsense. What is everyone doing? Oh, Denver. What are we doing? This is. I'm like, we all watch football, right? We all bet football, right? If you tell me Denver covers, I'll listen. I'm not listening to an outright win for the Broncos. I'm sorry, I can't handle that.
Right. I just can't see a rookie quarterback coming into Buffalo to make his playoff debut and walking out with a win. And I could certainly see this game completely getting away from Denver, but I don't know about you, Matt, but like I do have too much respect for the Broncos to bet against them. Like I'm just staying off sides in this. I mean, Denver.
Money line.
Yeah, money line, but
Eagles, Bills, Ravens, 3-leg money line parlay is plus 113. You get plus money.
Get on board with. Yeah, because the Broncos are 12-5 against the spread this year.
Yeah,
5-2 against the spread as road dogs this season. Their defense is 4th in DVOA. Their special teams are number 1 in DVOA. Bo Nix has been pretty poised all season, although a whole new ball game today.
ATM machine.
Yeah, I do have a lot of respect for this Denver team. Too much respect to lay that many points with the Bills, but I also can't bet the Broncos.
Bo Nix is 12-5 ATS as the starting quarterback. That's ridiculous. He's only the fourth rookie quarterback to cover 11 or more games in the wild card era since 1990. Russell Wilson did it back in 2012. That was the last time this happened. Joe Flacco did it in 2008. So he's in some, decent company here with this. But I mean, look, we've seen quarterbacks do really well in Sean Payton's system because he doesn't ask them to do all that much. It's dink and dunk, play defense. Don't throw the ball down the field. Don't make the big mistake. Buffalo's offense is going to be the difference in this game because I just think everyone's like Denver's defense. Okay, this is the Bills at home. This is Josh Allen. Maybe they cover. Maybe Buffalo wins by 6 or by 7. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy walk in the park and they're going to get blown off the field in Buffalo, but I cannot see the Bills with how much is on the line here for the Buffalo Bills to lose this game outright. Josh Allen as a favorite of 7.5 points or more is 13-9-2 ATS in his career. He is at home straight up as a favorite of 7.5 or more, 23-1 straight up. His only loss came to the Broncos and Russell Wilson last year. So he's got a memory of going, I was a big favorite going in here. Straight up, no. Points, I'll listen. How do you feel about the total? This game go under?
I mean, it does feel a little tall, doesn't it? 47.5 points, but
48 now. Yeah.
It's up to 48. Yeah. I could also see it. Like I could see Buffalo piling up points though. Matt is the problem. So I'm
right.
I'm just staying away from everything that's not a prop in this game. Side and total, I'm not so much onto.
Yeah, this is just a money line parlay play for me. This the only thing I'm doing is if the Bills win. It's all I can come up with is I'm not backing Bo Nix to walk into Buffalo when they have everything sitting right there in front of them. And I like the Chargers. We talked about that already. If the Chargers win, they're going to Arrowhead. The Chargers have a shot to knock off the Chiefs. We may not see Buffalo versus Kansas City. The Chargers may take care of Kansas City for Buffalo, and that leads the Bills to get to the Super Bowl, or it's Ravens to the Super Bowl out of the AFC going to New Orleans and not Kansas City. So I can't see it. I can't see Sean McDermott and Josh Allen laying that level of an egg at home when they have so much potentially sitting there for them, as this could be the season for them to maybe get that elusive championship. Green Bay on the road at Philadelphia. Number now is 5. Total is 45.5 on this one. Banged up Green Bay Packers. Quarterback questions. Defense questions. Yet people like the Packers. Pat, you're in that neck of the woods. You're, part of that brethren. Where are you on Packers at the Eagles?
I'm not on the Packers, Matt. I think this line should probably be closer to Eagles -7.
Agreed.
It's just hard to feel good about the Packers right now, Matt. They are coming off 2 bad losses to the Vikings and the Bears. They lost Christian Watson to a torn ACL, so they're undermanned at wide receiver. They wanted their best cornerback, Jair Alexander, which is a problem when you're trying to deal with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Jordan Love hasn't been all that sharp lately, and now he's got this ulnar nerve issue. 5 of the Packers' 6 losses this season have come against playoff teams. They just have not been able to close the deal against good teams. Lions, Vikings, Eagles. They're 1-4 against the spread against playoff teams. And the Eagles have won 12 of their last 13 games. And the only slip up was a game they gave away to Washington in week 16, a game they would have won if the normally reliable Devontae Smith had caught a pass that backup quarterback Kenny Pickett put right in his breadbasket. And of course, the Eagles have already beaten the Packers once this season. That season opener in Brazil, 34-29, although that game was played on a skating rink.
Yeah.
And field conditions were pretty bad. I don't know how much you can take away from that one. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose Green Bay might have a puncher's chance in this game. They really stepped up their game last year in the playoffs, but I've already bet the Eagles. I think they win by more than one score.
I laid 4.5 too. It's 5 now. I laid 4.5. I'm also on money line too for this. I understand the love. Okay. Matt LaFleur did it last year. Matt LaFleur in the wild card in divisional round. He's 2-0 against the number, covered against the Niners and the Cowboys on the road. Overall in the wild card in divisional rounds, he's 4-1 against the number. He's 3-2 straight up. Both of his losses on the road or in the wild card division rounds have come by 3 points. So did they play games tight against teams with the same straight up record or worse? The Packers are 10-1 this year after losing to the Bears last week. And that wasn't really a game that they tried in, like they lost, but they would have been 10-0 with this. This is a team against teams where the record for Green Bay is worse. They're 1-4. Their only win against a team with a better record than them, and they're taking on a team with a better record than them in the Eagles. The only win was against the Texans back in October. So the schedule might be a little bit misleading this year for the Packers about how good they actually are. I love Matt LaFleur. I love Matt LaFleur in December. I think he's a tremendous head coach. Jordan Love being a little bit nicked up, I think is bad. I think, look, they've had a great year running the football and having success on the ground against Philadelphia's defense is going to be really, really hard to do that. The Eagles are boa constrictors when it comes to getting leads in the postseason. They get the lead and they sit on it. Don't mind the under in this game either, just because I think the Philadelphia Eagles aren't going to try to do too much. But with Saquon off of rest, everyone I've talked to that said the Jalen Hurts concussion thing was sort of like it was overblown. Like he had a concussion, but if he had to play, he could have played. So they're resting him and he should be completely fine. He's been practicing all week, so there's no really worries about Hurts. Yes, if he gets hit again, maybe there's something to be said for that and maybe he gets knocked out. But I think this is Philly by 7. I think you're right. This number should be 6.5. Philly by 7 here in tomorrow up against a great year for the Packers, but we'll see you next year for Green Bay. And then finally, Washington against Tampa. I haven't bet this, but me and you are on opposite sides of this here. Rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels on the road, catching 3. Tampa Bay, a home favorite. You like the Bucs, Pat. Why?
I do, Matt. Ever since the Buccaneers had that 4-game losing streak at midseason, they have come out of their bye and they've won 6 of their last 7 games. And since their week 11 bye, the Buccaneers have outrushed their opponents by a 3-1 margin, 1,283 yards to 411 yards.
Whew.
The Buccaneers are averaging 183 rushing yards a game over that stretch. Their opponents just under 59 rushing yards over those 7 games. No team has rushed for 100 yards against the Buccaneers since week 9. And the only team that has rushed for more than only one team has rushed for more than 78 yards against Tampa over that span. So our colleague Andrew Erickson pointed out that the Commanders have failed to cover the spread in 7 of their last 10 games against teams with winning records. And the Bucs have covered the spread in 8 of their last 11 games against teams with a winning record. So, I think the Bucs hold serve here.
So interesting the way the world works. The last time the Commanders won a playoff game, and it has not happened for 19 years. Commanders haven't won a playoff game in 19 years. The last time they did so was at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, where they won in the opening round for the Washington football team, old school name Commanders, whatever you want to call it, the Washington franchise, 19 years. Funny how it works. Couple things to keep in note here for the quarterback play for the Bucs. The Bucs, since the Bucs went in the playoffs last year, the Bucs have played 4 night games. They're 0-4 straight up in those 4 night games. Baker Mayfield at night is 1-9 straight up in his last 10 games at night in both the regular season and the playoffs. Straight up mark is the second worst among 79 quarterbacks ahead of him. Only Daniel Jones in the NFL is worst at night, where he's 1-11 straight up. So for whatever reason, Baker doesn't like night games. It's a weird, wonky trend, but Baker doesn't like night games. Look, it's a rookie quarterback, okay? So a rookie quarterback going on the road is really hard to do that. But Baker Mayfield as a dog, he's unbelievable. As a favorite, It's like James Franklin. You can't back the guy as a favorite, and it's a playoff game here. I hate having to back a rookie quarterback, but I'll take the 3 points. Maybe have a push potential on this with Washington going down there, and maybe this rush offense for Washington is the story. I know the rush offense for Tampa has been tremendous, and they've stuck to it. I know everyone's saying the defense is going to have something for a rookie quarterback. Do you like what you've seen from Tampa's defense? Because I've watched it the last couple of weeks. It concerns me with the way that they're playing on that side of the ball.
Run defense has been really good, though, Matt. The pass defense, yeah. Like if Washington's going to spring the upset here, they're going to have to do it with Jaden Daniels going berserk through the air, which he's capable of doing. I mean, Zach Ertz has really picked it up lately. He's got Terry McLaurin as a reliable weapon. He's got some other interesting pieces. But I do think the Bucs are capable of making the Commanders be one-dimensional on offense.
Before we go to the game on Monday night, you guys, we got extra stuff. Not only do you have a live stream here right now, we have a live stream starting in a couple of minutes. Well, a couple of hours, I guess, for the Texans and the Chargers. If you need more advice on this game, you guys can stay tuned to this very rare YouTube channel on BettingPros tonight for a bonus second screen live streaming experience. Joe P., Scott Bogman, live reaction, in-game betting opportunities tonight. It will start at 4:15 Eastern time. It'll go for the entire first half. It will end at halftime for the live stream. I don't believe we've ever done anything like this. So if you guys are interested in second screen experiences and live betting opportunities, join Joey P. and Bogman as they watch and react to this game here for the Chargers and the Texans. If you like it, if it works, we'll keep doing it. Potentially have an opportunity to do more of this, maybe even during bigger games like championship games or even the Super Bowl. So this Saturday, today, 4:15 Eastern time, right here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel for you guys to live stream in-game betting opportunities for the Chargers and the Texans. One final game. It is a game that was supposed to have been played in LA. Unfortunately, the wildfires have forced this game to be relocated to State Farm Stadium down in Phoenix, Arizona. Used to be called the Big Toaster. Vikings laying 2.5. DraftKings has now moved to 3 for the Vikings. The Rams, this is tough. It's a tough spot because they don't have a great home field advantage, but it's still their home building. It's still where they play, where they practice, is what they know, what they're comfortable with. Kind of a really bad break here. I know a lot of sharp people here in Vegas. I haven't heard one person say Rams yet. Are you on Rams or Vikings?
I'm on the Vikings. And so the line basically moved 1 point towards the Vikings, Matt. Do you think that adequately covers the forced move for the Rams?
I don't know if it matters. I think the Vikings win the game regardless. But I think it does put the upset into the least likely scenario for me with this. I think I love what has happened this year for the Rams with their offense, and their defense has played above their head in some games. I just have a hard time thinking the Vikings, after all their success, I keep on coming back to the number of the NFC North destroying everybody except the NFC North. Like, no matter who they're playing, they're not playing each other, they destroy. And I just think the Vikings are in that same situation where they're taking on a team not in the NFC North, and they'll win the game in cover.
The Vikings are arguably the best coach team in the NFL with Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. And it's really hard to imagine a well-coached team laying eggs 2 weeks in a row. So after they did it, Detroit, that's one reason I think this is a good bounce back spot for them. Plus, the Vikings have won 9 straight games as favorites.
Jeez, that's a great number.
I mean, I feel like this one's a slam dunk.
Yeah, the NFC North is I know we're going to see what the Lions look like in the playoffs and whatnot, but the NFC North finished up the year 33-11 straight up and 30-14 ATS against teams not from the NFC North. That's the best ATS mark for any division since 2013. It's the second best straight up percentage since 1990. Like, the teams with the Packers, even the Bears at times, but Lions and the Vikings, 14-3, 15-2. Like, they just beat up so many teams that were not part of it. And look, I like the Rams. I like what McVay has done. I like the fact this offense has 2 very big weapons and could really push this defense for the Vikings. I just don't think the Rams defense is going to slow down this offense for the Vikings. I just think, you mentioned Kevin O'Connell. these wideouts are so tough. I can't see them having an off day. And frankly, not to say you want to get an egg out of the way, but like you talk about the quarterback situation with the Vikings, and when you play as poorly as what happened against the Lions, I just think Sam Darnold's got an opportunity here to say, okay, that game was in the regular season. I got that out of my system. I'm not going to miss receivers left and right. I'm going to go watch the film. I'll get coached up. I can't see him playing as poorly as he did last week, right?
I think that would be the way for the Vikings to blow this game, for Darnold to have another terrible game. And that is not totally out of the question. So maybe my assessment of it being a slam dunk, not quite accurate, because I would never want to bet my life on Sam Darnold, but
right.
I do think this is a really good percentage play, though.
Where is Sam Darnold playing football next year?
Man, how about the Giants?
Woo, not so. If he wins the Super Bowl, can you move? If he wins the Super Bowl, is it still JJ McCarthy's team?
I think it is.
Wow.
I think the Vikings want to continue, like they want to build around a cheap quarterback and be great everywhere else. And, they had the confidence to take McCarthy early in last year's draft. I think they're going to ride with him, Matt.
Man alive. How about the Jets? Go get Rex Ryan, bring back Sam Darnold. You run it all back in New York. Make it all 2015 all over again. See what they can do, and then watch out for the butt fumble 2.0 coming at you for the Jets. So I mean Darnold, $40 million a year doesn't sound right, but Sam Darnold might make $40 million a year next year. Somebody might open up a piggy bank and go ahead and pay him. All right, Pat, let's go through your full card for today and for the weekend.
Yeah, so I am on the Chargers. That's probably my favorite side. I also like the Vikings, as just mentioned, and I think the Buccaneers do take care of business against the Commanders. Steelers, Ravens. I mean, this is traditionally an under game. I think we get an under here too. Packers, Eagles. I didn't talk about the total on that one, Matt, but I believe 10 of the Eagles' regular season games and 6 of their last 9 have played under, and these are just slow-paced teams.
Yep.
In terms of seconds per snap, Packers are 3rd slowest, Eagles are 9th slowest in the league. And as far as props, Russell Wilson, Steelers' passing game has just been dysfunctional for the last month. Over his last 5 games, Wilson has averaged 171.2 passing yards, and he's beaten this number just once over that span. And the Ravens' pass defense has really tightened up. They've allowed an average of 188.1 passing yards a game and 5.8 yards per attempt over their last 7. No quarterback has thrown for more than 218 yards against the Ravens during that period. So I also like Baker Mayfield over 246.5 passing yards. He's beaten this number in 4 of his last 5 games. Over that stretch, 73% completion percentage, 9.0 yards per attempt, 264.7 yards a game for the season.
Wow.
And in his 2 playoff starts last year for the Bucs, Matt, 337 yards, 349 yards. And there's one I don't have listed here, Matt. I just got to, this stat is going to make you swallow your tongue. And I heard my guy, Jeff Ratcliffe of FTN, drop this on the radio the other day. I almost drove off the road when I heard it. So the all-time leaders for first quarter playoff touchdowns are tied with 6. Among the players tied for second place with 5 first quarter touchdowns in the playoffs, Jerry Rice and Terrell Davis. The 2 players who've scored 6 first quarter playoff touchdowns, both Buffalo Bills, Thurman Thomas and Dawson Knox.
Wow.
Dawson Knox has played in 10 career playoff games, has 6 touchdown catches in the playoffs. They've all been in the first quarter. The odds for Dawson Knox to score the first touchdown, I've seen it anywhere from 25-1 to 30-1. I got it at 30-1 on DraftKings the other day. I am not a big first touchdown bettor, Matt, but I know some of the people in our audience are.
Yes.
This one convinced me to take a first quarter touchdown bet on long shot Dawson Knox.
How interesting. They game plan to get him a touchdown early, which makes sense. Throw to the tight end over the middle. Josh Allen tends to look that way quite a bit. All right, 30-1. When that stat, 30-1 is 30-1. That's tremendous. All right, you can go ahead and go find that. I love that idea. My gosh. To kind of go your point about Baker Mayfield in the passing, if you guys like that prop from Pat, I think you should bet the over. 12-5 Mayfield on games he started this year to the over. Lamar Jackson's the only one better to the over at 13-4. Jaden Daniels is 11-6 to the over. So if you have a quarterback throwing that much and you have Baker dropping back and throwing, I know the running game is Irving's been tremendous for this rush offense for the Bucs, but I think if you like over on passing for Baker, I think you probably go over for the game as well. That's probably going to be the most entertaining game of the weekend, to be quite honest, in terms of offense. That's why I like the Commanders, because I don't like that defense for the Bucs. I watched it. I'm like, man, they give up a lot of yards, a lot of big plays through the air, and I think, given the fact the quarterback can move, I know rushing it's hard on that defense, but I think they could run the ball with the quarterback and Jane Daniels on that. For me, on my card today, I'm with you on the Chargers. I laid 2.5. I got below 3, so I laid 2.5 with the Chargers on this. I'm with you with the Eagles as well. I think you could bet that up to 6 and 6.5 even. I think I wouldn't go higher than 6 just from an overtime perspective. You never know. But I think the Eagles are the right side in that game. Packers are way too built up, and I think there's going to be a lot of angry Packer fans just because I think this Eagles squad is really, really good. They may be the best team in football, and if you're banking on a Jalen Hurts concussion to keep that Eagles offense at bay, I don't think you're going to be happy with that. So I'll lay the 4.5. If you want a money line parlay, it's plus 113. The Bills, the Eagles, and the Ravens. Money line, don't worry about the big number with the Ravens. Don't worry about the big number with the Bills. And the Eagles may be the most dangerous of that. But again, I like the Eagles at 4.5. So that would take down 2 bets for me. I just can't get past that Eagles defense. I know everyone's talking about the offense, but that Eagles defense, I love their secondary. I think that the rookies that they have brought in, Cooper DeJean's played so well for them. I think come playoff football time, it's go time for that Eagles secondary against the Packers, who are banged up both at the quarterback spot and the wide receiver spot. If you want to do a teaser, this is a 7-point teaser. It's not cheap. All right. It's minus 140 at most books to do a 7-point teaser. I'd never do it. However, I want 10 on the Texans in case I'm wrong about the Chargers and the Texans find a way to win this game, because I can paint a picture where the Texans shock the world here and Justin Herbert plays horrifically bad and they can't move the football. They can't run the ball. They're on the road. We talked about road favorites. We talked about what happens when you're a home dog, and the Chargers have been very good in this spot. Road favorite Justin Herbert is 7-1 ATS over his last 8 games in this spot. 12-4 in the Eastern or Central time zones as a road favorite. But there's a lot of metrics that point to the Texans having a chance to win this game here today, in particular if there's turnovers from Justin Herbert. So I'll do a little insurance there with a plus 10. And then I need the Ravens below a field goal. I know it's nuts, but I need them below a field goal just because this series has been so tight and so closely determined. If the Ravens lose the game to the Steelers, I get crushed on 3 different bets here. So I am all in on the Ravens today just to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't need them to win big, just win by 3 points or more. From a prop perspective, I like Ladd McConkey today to have over 75.5 receiving yards. He's been such a binky weapon here for this pass offense here. It's time for this kid to really become a household name. He's been tremendous. And I'm parlaying these 2 plays together. It's too expensive to play Derrick Henry anytime touchdown, but you can if you want. I've seen it as low as minus 185. I think Henry scores, but I'm going to put that together with his rushing total and go over 99.5 yards rushing. He had over 160 last time out against the Steelers, and I think they're going to really feed the rock to him, try to keep the hits off of Lamar Jackson and make it be a Derrick Henry grinded out type of game. Lamar, I think, will have a pretty good passing game here today, but I like Henry to go over. It's a plus 140 parlay if you take the anytime touchdown and Henry over 99.5 yards rushing. Favorite game of the day, Pat? What game, or of the weekend? What game are you most excited to watch?
I think Commanders-Buccaneers is going to be a lot of fun.
I agree. Me too. I think it's going to be boring. I think a lot of these games are going to be it's chalk. We talked about it. I think the Chargers, I don't think they boat race Houston, but I could see it. And then, I mean, if the Ravens play the way the Ravens are capable of, the game very well might be over at halftime. Like the Ravens might really destroy. If the Steelers can't move the football and through the air, they can't run the ball. Like, Pittsburgh cannot run the ball. That's the number 1 rush defense in the NFL in the Ravens. And Pittsburgh can't run the ball anyway. So if they can't throw the ball, they can't complete passes down the field, 13 points. I asked a big Steeler fan, how many points will the Steelers score today? 13 was the number.
Hmm.
Over or under for you of 13 points?
Boy, that's pretty spot on. That was a good number from your friend right there. Yeah, let me throw out one more quick prop bet.
Yeah.
Jaylen Warren over 22.5 receiving yards.
Oh, okay.
I believe he's had 27 and 44 in his 2 previous games against the Ravens this year. The Ravens are great against the run. They're not so great at covering running backs in the passing game. And, just because of what we talked about, Matt, their inability to run the ball, their shortage of legitimate weapons in the passing game other than, the mercurial George Pickens.
Right.
I think we could see the running backs catch a lot of passes for the Steelers today. And Warren is the more explosive guy in the passing game than Najee is.
Guys, before we get out of here, a reminder that Betting Pros will have a live stream in game for Texans Chargers. It will start at 4:15 Eastern time. Joey P and Bogman have got you right here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Second screen experience for you guys to watch. If you want to go along and watch this game from a betting perspective, they'll be on live throughout the entire first half. It starts at 4:15 Eastern. It'll end at halftime for the Texans and the Chargers game here today. So keep your notifications on so that when they go live, you guys can be told to tune in to a second stream live in-game betting opportunities for the Chargers and the Texans here with the Betting Pros YouTube channel. He is Pat Fitzmaurice. I am Matt Perrault. We are back next week for a divisional card weekend preview to Sal in the back. Thanks for watching, guys. We're back next week for more NFL playoff football here on the Betting Pros YouTube channel.